Hey guys, Stucky here. You ever wanted to try the best version of the Action Network app? Well, now is the perfect opportunity to do so because we have a special offer to celebrate the month of March and the NCAA tournament. You can get pro access for just $9.99 for the first month. That will give you access to things like Sean Kerner's player prop projections, which are invaluable, real-time money percentages, and our model's biggest edges, and much more. All you have to do is head over to actionnetwork.com/madness. That's actionnetwork.com/madness and get there before the deal expires. Cheers. All right, let's go to the Fun Belt, where this is a format where they do reward the top four seeds, which are App State, Arkansas State, James Madison, and Troy. All 14 teams make it. The top 10 get a bye. The top 4 get a double bye. All of these games are played in Pensacola, Florida, so it's all on a neutral court. Kicks off Tuesday, March 5th, championship Monday, March 11th. So if you're not one of those top 4 seeds, and we could throw out Texas State, ODU, Coastal Carolina, and Louisiana Monroe, unless you object. None of those teams are.
No,
right?
fine.
Yeah, we could throw out the 11 through 14 seeds. But if you're an 11 through 14 seeds, you got to win on Tuesday, and then you got to win on Thursday, just to get to the weekend, where you then have to win 3 games in 3 days. And all those 2 teams are just way behind the top of a league, especially the class of the conference, which is App State and JMU. And if you're looking, I think the favorite is James Madison, with App State just behind them. If the chalk holds, App State would play Arkansas State in the semis. James Madison would play Troy in the semis. Interesting enough, James Madison didn't play Troy during the regular season, were swept by App State, and they beat Arkansas State in their only meeting. So they had I think they had the easiest strength of schedule in the entire league. Let me start first with any potential long shot. So let's first remove the 4 top seeds. Is there anyone, and we already removed the bottom 4. So is there anyone 6 through 10? Southern Miss, Georgia State. I think if Southern Miss was healthy, they'd be much more intriguing, but they're not. Georgia State, Marshall, Louisiana, South Alabama, and Georgia Southern. Anyone there tickle your fancy?
Well, here's my question on Southern Miss. Are we sure that they're not healthy? Because I think they held out players in the last game to get healthy. They did get Curbelo back. Fully loaded, they are dangerous. They beat James Madison at home. Curbelo came back, played well. They beat Troy at home by 1 without Curbelo. This is sort of my favorite long shot. I get it stuck to play Troy and JMU consecutive days would be doable, but my theme here in the Sun Belt is to fade James Madison. I don't trust James Madison. They're only 9-10 against the spread in conference. They can get very sloppy. They tend to play up to the competition and play down. Now, you're going to look at their record. It's not going to matter. But I do think that Southern Miss can cause problems here. They're going to dismiss Texas State or Old Dominion, and then they are playing a Troy team, which you talked about. I like them, and I like Scott Cross, but there's a lot of variance there. Beating Troy and James Madison back-to-back is rough, but I do think the long shot here is Southern Miss because they could have Crowley back. Crowley may have been held out as precaution. If he's back and Curbelo's on the floor, they're a tough matchup.
Yeah, Curbelo did come back. But Crowley was dressed. He didn't play in the finale,
right?
But he was dressed. But they still missed. They're gonna. I think it's hard to get concrete information on these teams, but I think Donovan Ivory is out for the season. He was important, and I mean he was shooting 43% from 3, and per Evan Mia, he was their 2nd best player overall behind Curbelo in BPR. Yeah. Southern Miss would have been an intriguing team this year if they were fully healthy. But yeah, if they get Crowley back, Curbelo, they could be feisty. I'll throw out, this will be the longest shot I'll give. And this has almost no chance to win. But I think you can get like 250 to 1 on this team.
Georgia State?
Georgia Southern. They suck, but this is an absolute lottery ticket. They're playing their best basketball of the season. They have a bunch of freshmen who are playing better. They rank 14th in Haslametrics momentum, which kind of speaks to that, how the team's playing. And they have a deep bench, really deep bench. So that matters. If you look at our long shot, you need a deep bench because any of these long shots are going to have to win a game just to get to an opportunity where you have to win 3 in 3 days. And this all comes down to, could they beat App State? So high variance team, which is what you want for these longer shots, they shoot a ton of threes, top 25 nationally in 3-point attempt rate, and they make them at a respectable rate. So yeah, I mean, look, they don't play any defense. They're not going to get any stops. So they'd have to beat App State, who they lost to 84-74, and then they lost 85-84 in overtime. So could they beat App State? And if they beat App State, so they just have to hit a ton of threes. I mean, it's a 250-1 shot to win 4 games. And if, look, they play South Alabama, they're going to be a dog in that game, but I think they have a shot. Tyron Moore is the type of player who can just go nuclear for a week. This is a guy who's, he scored 32 in the finale. He scored 27, 28, 34, 30, 30 throughout this season. So if they were to, this is basically a ticket on if they win their first matchup, which is no gimme, could they beat App State, hit a ton of threes, you have a deep bench, and then you get a team in Arkansas State, presumably, who I actually think is intriguing, as I think you could find them out there 10-1. It would not go below 10-1. But why do I like Ark State? High variance team. You can consider them, they have a double bye, and they're not as good as James Madison or App State. They swept Troy for what it's worth. So if they do get to the championship and get to Troy, I think it's a good matchup. But they are a high variance team because they shoot a ton of threes. 32nd nationally, and they shoot at a respectable clip. You can think of them under Brian Hodgkins. You can think of them as a mini Alabama. Hodgkins, first year, Nate Oates disciple, want to get to the rim, want to shoot threes. That's all they do. If they're making their threes, they can beat anyone in the league. And you'll need to against App State. App State gives up nothing. And App State's wonderfully coached under Dustin Kearns. What job? He's got to get a high-profile job soon. They don't allow anything at the rim. 99th percentile nationally per synergy defending at the rim. So what do you have to do against them? You got to make threes. So, they lost by 21 in Boone in their only meeting, but their high variance style gives them a chance. On the flip side of that coin, if Georgia Southern were to somehow get to the semis and play Arkansas State, again, high variance team could work against you if you're the heavy favorite. In that game, we just have a ton of threes, and then you have to hope that, Georgia Southern's making them and Arkansas State isn't. Again, this is like complete couch change on Georgia Southern. If you even want to venture there, I don't even know if I'll throw $10 on it at least, because I'm touting this out now. But Arkansas State, I will have a real position on. I think just given their high variance style, makes them intriguing as one of the 4 teams that does have a double bye. What are your thoughts on anything else in the Fun Belt?
Yeah, if I hear that Ivory is playing, then I'm going to have a good position on Southern Miss. But I also wrote down the other one is Ark State, so I agree with you. Only losses since late January, home to JMU by 4, and at App State last game, no shame in that. They have won away in home games. They were swept by Louisiana. That's the only concern. But that you mentioned it. Brian Hodgkin comes from Nate Oates. They like to spread the floor, shoot threes. 44% of their shots in the Sun Belt come from deep. That's first. But in short, folks, Arkansas State shoots the 3 well, doesn't turn it over, solid inside the arc defense, solid on the offensive boards. That is your profile there of a dangerous team. If they beat App State, they can absolutely win the whole thing. In fact, I'll go so far as to say, Stuck, since I don't like James Madison, if it's Ark State and App State, the winner of that game is going to win this whole thing.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Yeah, the thing with Louisiana, it is a good point that Louisiana, who's the likely opponent for Arkansas State, did sweep them during the regular season. And in those 2 games, Arkansas State 4 of 22 from 3 and 6 of 26. So what we're talking 10 of 50, like 20, 10 of 50, 20% from 3. But under Bob Marlin, if the Raging Cajuns are going to take away the 3, and this year Team shot 27.8% from three, number one in the country. So maybe that is a problematic matchup. Now, their 2-point defense isn't any good. And I mean, this is a team last year that, won this tournament, but they really missed Jordan Brown. But yeah, maybe that's a problematic matchup for Arkansas State. But I just think given their high variance style, I like them at 10-1, which you could find out there. Wouldn't go anywhere below that. And then Georgia Southern, I think, is a team trending up. I'll look potentially bet them catching some points against South Alabama in the first round. Anything you want to add in the Fun Belt?
Yes, initial instinct would be the winner of Louisiana, Ark State. I'll be all over with the points against App State in Pensacola Bay, the neutral site. And you mentioned it. Bob Marlin, Louisiana, beat South Alabama last year, 3-7 matchup, and then made the finals as an 8 seed in 2022. So he knows how to do well in this tournament.
Yeah, you would think that. I mean, the saving grace for Arkansas State in that matchup is they should dominate the offensive glass, and they don't really turn it over much. And Louisiana they're top 30 in the country in turnover rate forced, and they're outside the top 300 in offensive rebounding rate allowed. But yeah, I mean, if Arkansas State's going to go 4 of 28 from three, tough to win. And Louisiana has been defending the perimeter well all year. All right, good stuff on the Fun Belt. It's finally March, so you know what that means. It's time to say top of the morning to the most famous St. Patrick's Day Shamrock Shavers, our new sponsor, Manscaped. Don't just chase rainbows this March. Make your own pot of gold and groom your little leprechaun with the leaders in below-the-kilt care. Clear your clover forest with Manscaped's Lawnmower 5.0 and join the 10 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped. Head over to manscaped.com and use code BBOC for 20% off plus free shipping. The Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra is your new lucky charm, and it's fully waterproof. So go ahead, shave by the misty moors, shave under a waterfall, shave while betting a second half total. The world is yours. Get 20% off and free shipping with code BBOC at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping with code BBOC at manscaped.com. This St. Patrick's Day, make sure your hairy little leprechaun is luckier than ever with Manscaped.